In Blue Lock, Isagi has undoubtedly become one of the best strikers to come out of the Blue Lock facility, and he's able to do this due to his multitudes of good abilities. Isagi as a player has always been very talented, but he hasn't always been completely exceptional. We see this in the Blue Lock facility where he's ranked second to last, and in the novels we even get the idea that he wasn't even gonna be invited, and Thierry Henry, Ego's advisor, didn't even think he was worthy. In this video I wanted to go over Isagi's abilities and which ones are most important to his skill set and how he got them. So if you enjoy this type of content, make sure to of course like the video and subscribe to my channel since I make Blue Lock content. Starting off, we have his most obvious ability, which would be direct shot, and this is one of the only abilities that he's had since day one. Isagi first found out that this was his key to surviving Blue Lock while facing Team V in the final match of the first selection. While in a battle with Nagi Seishiro, an insanely talented player in Blue Lock, Isagi was attempting to grab a pass from Bachira, but at the rate that Nagi was running towards him, he had no way of trapping the ball, and as soon as he realized he couldn't find a way to actually win in this battle, he started to visualize his own goals, and with this he started to remember that he doesn't have speed, power, or technique, but his direct shot is above par, giving him the ability to accept a pass inside of the penalty area and immediately shoot it rather than having to trap it. And with this awakening of his direct shot, he is able to ascend to the next level, destroying even the prodigies on the Team V team. And later on, while he's facing the Blue Lock man training, he realizes that his direct shots have formulas even within themselves. And even though his spatial awareness and positioning are on point, he can't make direct shots exactly how he's visualizing them. And the reason he was able to score the final goal in Team V was because of Bachira's amazing passing abilities. But in this selection, the balls are being thrown at him randomly. So by reducing his shooting power and at the last moment putting his full awareness on the impact, he's able to freely conceptualize the formula of his direct shots, which allows him to beat the first stage of the second selection. And after seeing his first goal against Rin's team in the second round of the second selection, Bachira notes that Isagi improved his accuracy, and Nagi even says that there was nothing pointless in the shot that he took. The next time Isagi's direct shot evolves is pretty later on in the manga, but keep in mind there are more abilities that he got in between these that pretty much evens it out. He evolves his direct shot once again by getting a lefty shot after training with Bachira, Chigiri, and Kunigami. Initially he was just going to ask Kunigami to teach him how to become ambidextrous, but Kunigami told him that his body basically couldn't handle it, and it only worked on himself because of his muscle mass and bone structure. And if Isagi attempted to copy it, he'd probably lose his current level of performance. So instead of trying to make it a main weapon, he attempts to train in order to be able to use it as a secondary weapon. He surprisingly doesn't even use this on a character on the opposite team at first, but the first time he uses it, he's able to get through the defense of the Ubers team along with Corona, and is faced with Kaiser's right-hand man, Alexis Ness. And since Kaiser's being locked down by the best defender under 20 and a part of the new generation 11 just like Sei and Kaiser, Ness is taking Kaiser's place in order to crush Isagi's goal, and he attempts to do this in almost an identical way that Sei Itoshi did in the Japan U20 match, where he tips him off of his center of balance and destroys his shot course. But unfortunately for Ness, this only destroyed his shot course for his right side, and because of Isagi's extensive training, his side weapon, or his lefty direct shot, is able to completely destroy Ness. This is one of the many instances of Isagi facing his faults as a striker, since as we know, if this was like a few months ago, Isagi would have fell for this, or even a few weeks ago, because we literally see it on screen when Sei Itoshi does it. But Isagi is able to realize that if he can only shoot extensively with one leg, then he can never become a perfect striker. To be honest, Isagi's direct shot is definitely easily one of his strongest abilities, and even though it pales in comparison to things like the Kaiser impact, it's still amazingly good for a striker. And the only real way I can see him improving it would be either A, advancing the distance at which he can make a direct shot, or B, getting an ability that allows him to get through the field alone, because as a lot of people note, Isagi really relies on passes. But other than that, there's really nothing else he can advance on it. I mean, we even know he can make a direct shot off of his back heel, and he does it at high levels, even being able to outsmart Rin by doing so. But another thing I like to see, which I doubt would happen, would be a curved or controlled direct shot. Similar to what we see with Rin, where he's able to draw a parabola with his shot, which is completely curved, and it would be pretty interesting to see Isagi do something similar. The next ability I like to go over is pretty minor, but it kind of goes over a lot of people's radars, which would be his ability to sneak behind players. He first gained this ability in a 2v2 against Baro and Naruhaya, and for context of this match, Isagi and Naruhaya are very similar in the fact that they're both kind of just average, and they need to team up with the very strong people to get by. And for that reason, this battle will be a battle of evolution to see who can evolve first and destroy the other. Naruhaya even says that the reason that he faced Isagi and Nagi was because he believed that he could beat Isagi, continuing on to say that he can't score his own goals like Chigiri, Kunigami, or Bachira, and everyone overestimates him, and that he and Naruhaya are both mediocre people. After this, Naruhaya blocks a pass from Isagi, and Baro is able to get the ball and start charging towards them. And as soon as Isagi's focused on Baro instead of Naruhaya, Naruhaya is able to get behind Isagi, accept the pass from Baro, and he would have scored a goal if not for the block man blocking it. But Baro is able to easily follow up and score a goal instead. But the focal point of this moment is the fact that Naruhaya was able to get past Isagi, showing that while Naruhaya has movement skills that let him get towards a goal and score, he doesn't have the shooting skills that Isagi has. So with them both lacking opposite things, whoever can overcome the other one first and master the one-on-one play will be able to win the match. And after being hit by this ability of Naruhaya's once again, Isagi is able to realize what it truly is. He deduces that Naruhaya is positioning himself in his blind spot. And the reason he's able to decipher this so fast is because Rin also was able to use this on Isagi. And he even told Isagi that he needs to relearn what he knows about how the human eye works. And on a game deciding play, Naruhaya is able to get the ball before Isagi while they're both in the goal box. And even though if Naruhaya would pass it to Baro, it would be way safer, he knows that he needs to get a direct shot in order to level up in blue lock. So in an attempt to stand alongside the prodigies, he shoots the goal but ends up missing and hitting the sidebars, giving Isagi one more chance to devour his opponents. And after reading Baro's field of view, he's able to get behind Baro, just as Naruhaya once did to him, and after accepting a pass from Nagi, he uses his direct shot to end the game, fusing both his and Naruhaya's abilities and successfully devouring his opponent. And after the game ends, Naruhaya speaks to Isagi and tells him that he's not mediocre. He says that he always fights with the resolve to destroy himself and then rebuild himself as a better version. And he even goes on to call him an adaptability genius. This is an ability that I'll get onto later on more extensively, but for now let's just focus on what the sneaking has done for Isagi. He's able to use this ability once again, but this time on a field with 4 different enemies, and slip past all of them including Baro while using him as bait, showing everybody on the field his evolution. Isagi's even able to do this at a world class level, and we see him do it in the new Egoist League versus the Manshine City team, where he's able to get behind Rayo and Benedict Grimm before they even realize it, and steals a ball from Rayo before he even gets to pass it. And to everyone's surprise, he's even able to do it to the world's second best striker, Chris Prince. But to give him the benefit of the doubt, he was going against Noah, who is the first best striker obviously, so he was distracted to some extent. But Isagi is able to sneak past him and get a pass from Noah, showing that no matter what level you're playing at, this ability will always be useful to get behind defenders if you're not exceptionally good at dribbling like Bachira or Yukimiya. So for Isagi, this ability is definitely a top tier. The next ability I wanted to go over is probably the most obvious one to be on this list, and is of course Metavision. Now Metavision is an ability that has been hinted at ever since the second match of Blue Lock. It was no surprise that in his normal state Isagi had immense spatial awareness, but when he goes into the flow state, he actually gains some kind of 4th dimensional seeing ability that transcends everyone on the field. Chigiri explains this after his match with Team W, but at this point Isagi still hadn't perfected it, and it was still something he was doing unconsciously. One of the most important moments he uses it in the series subconsciously is in the U20 match on the final goal. And after reading the battle between Rin and Seitoshi, he's able to get to the perfect place at the perfect time, and at this moment all we know it as is luck, but we get clarification later on. But before that, we know it's Metavision because it has the same floor pattern and dark background as Metavision, and while Isagi doesn't have the Metavision eyes in this panel, he does have the flow state eyes, so it makes sense. But the reason that we know that this wasn't just luck like the page says, because the luck that the page would be indicating was the fact that Isagi was at the right place at the right time, but we know that Isagi got there at the right place at the right time because he read them with Metavision. And Isagi even says that the time where only he could detect the distortion between Rin and Sei occurred because his eyes and brain were working at a higher level than anyone else on the field. Another time he's able to use this ability is when he realizes that his thought process of going from seeing to thinking to moving is too slow, and Hiyori gives him some advice telling him to think reflexively. And after trusting all of his senses and using them by reflex, he's able to enter a flow state and gain Metavision temporarily. This flow state in Metavision allowed him to surpass the geniuses Shido and Rin at the same time, outreading the entire field and scoring the final goal. But even though this is a very good moment, this isn't the moment where he mastered Metavision. Isagi is able to master Metavision after acknowledging the fact that Kaiser is simply a better version of himself, and after taking a moment to watch his plays very closely and analyze them, he realizes that Kaiser uses his peripheral vision to intake insane amounts of information at once, and also looks around the field to keep his status updated, allowing him to always have a fresh view of the field and always know who was where and when, giving him a godlike view of the field and allowing him to be one step ahead of everyone. And since Isagi's been able to do this for a long time, but it just wasn't consciously, once he actually learns about it, he's able to put it into action pretty quickly. And after using it for the first time consciously, he's able to completely destroy the play of the Manshine City's team and steal the ball from Nagi. And after going on the offensive with Corona, they're able to completely dominate the field and destroy the defenses of the Manshine City team, getting past every defender and only being stopped by the one person on the field that we know has Metavision, that being Kaiser. And Kaiser successfully throws off Isagi's shot course, forcing him to miss the shot. But after this, we learn that Metavision is essentially the key to the next level. Isagi says that this ability is something that most pros probably use, and especially midfielders and game makers who will be able to make shots and passes from a higher plane basically. As of currently in the manga, Isagi, even among Metavision users, definitely has one of the best Metavisions that we've seen, with him being able to outsmart defenders who have Metavision, such as Aiku and Nico. But that's all I have for today. If you guys want to see a part 2 to this video, make sure to just comment it down below and like the video and subscribe, because I could easily make a part 2 about all of Isagi's abilities. But the ones mentioned in this video were just mainly his most helpful ones. But yeah, goodbye.